Welcome to the breathtaking landscapes of southern Georgia, where the rugged cliffs of the Erusheti Mountain rise above the banks of the Mtkvari River. Sorry for no videos in the last 2 weeks. Because I broke my arm. And I return now. We can start. Hidden within these cliffs lies one of the most extraordinary monuments of medieval architecture and spiritual devotion. Vardzia, the cave city that has stood for centuries, as a symbol of resilience, faith, and cultural identity. In this video, we will take you on a journey through time, exploring the fascinating history of Vardzia, the reasons behind its construction, its role in Georgian politics and religion, its decline and rediscovery, and finally, its present-day significance as a cultural treasure and tourist destination. To understand Vardzia, we need to look back to the 12th century, a golden age for Georgia. At this time, the Kingdom of Georgia was experiencing a political, cultural, and military renaissance. Under the reign of King George III and his daughter, the legendary Queen Tamar, the kingdom extended its influence across the Caucasus. It was during this flourishing era that the idea of Vardzia was born. The site was carved directly into the volcanic rock of the Erusheti mountainside, creating a city that was both hidden and protected. According to tradition, its construction began under King George III, but it reached its true glory under Queen Tamar, who ruled from 1184 to 1213. The choice of location was no accident. The Mtkvari River Valley was not only a fertile region for agriculture, but also a strategic frontier, threatened by invasions from the east and south. Building a cave city in this dramatic landscape served both defensive and spiritual purposes. No story of Vardzia can be told without mentioning Queen Tamar, one of the most celebrated rulers in Georgian history. Crowned as co-ruler with her father at just 12 years old, Tamar became Georgia's first female monarch and led the kingdom to its greatest territorial and cultural heights. Vardzia became closely associated with Tamar. Legends say that as a child she once got lost in the caves, and when she was found, she cried out, "Ak Vardzia," meaning, "I am here, uncle." From this expression, the name Vardzia is believed to have originated. The cave complex soon became not only a fortress and a refuge, but also a monastic center, reflecting Tamar's deep devotion to Christianity. It symbolized both her political authority and her spiritual mission to strengthen the Orthodox faith across the Georgian realm. At its height, Vardzia was an extraordinary city carved into the rock face. It stretched across 500 meters and consisted of up to 13 levels of caves. The complex contained over 6,000 individual rooms, although today only around 300 are preserved. These included living quarters, storerooms, bakeries, stables, chapels, and even a library. The engineering skill behind this construction was remarkable, with stairways and tunnels connecting the different levels, allowing easy movement through the mountain's interior. At the heart of Vardzia stood its most important monument, the Church of the Dormition, built in the 1180s. The church was carved entirely into the rock and decorated with stunning frescoes that remain some of the finest examples of medieval Georgian art. These frescoes include portraits of Queen Tamar and her father, King George III, providing invaluable insights into the royal image of Georgia's rulers. The water supply was ingeniously managed through a system of hidden pipes, ensuring that the community could survive even under siege. This combination of defense, religion, and daily life made Vardzia a truly unique medieval settlement. While Vardzia's defensive function was crucial, it was primarily a monastic center. It housed hundreds of monks who lived, prayed, and worked within its caves. The monks tended vineyards on the surrounding slopes, produced wine, and engaged in the transcription of manuscripts. The cave city became a beacon of Orthodox Christianity in the Caucasus. It symbolized the unity of faith and state under Queen Tamar's rule. Pilgrims and scholars traveled here, and the frescoes within the Church of the Dormition carried deep theological meaning, reflecting both the artistic and religious ambitions of 12th century Georgia. For Queen Tamar, the monastery was also a spiritual refuge and a symbol of divine protection for her kingdom. Vardzia represented not just a city, but a sacred fortress of faith. The glory of Vardzia, however, was not to last forever. In 1283, just decades after its completion, a massive earthquake struck the region. The natural disaster destroyed much of the outer rock face, exposing the hidden city to the world and collapsing many of its chambers. Despite repairs, Vardzia could never fully recover its former grandeur. The exposed caves were now more vulnerable to invasions, and the political situation of Georgia was becoming increasingly unstable. By the late Middle Ages, the region faced repeated invasions by the Mongols, Persians, and eventually the Ottoman Empire. These foreign incursions weakened the monastic community, and many of the caves were abandoned. In the 16th century, the Ottomans seized control of the area, and the monastery's decline accelerated. Monastic life continued in a much reduced form, but the grand vision of Queen Tamar's cave city faded into memory. For centuries, Vardzia remained a mysterious ruin. Local villagers and monks continued to inhabit parts of the complex, but it was not until the 19th and 20th centuries that scholars began to study and restore it systematically. Today, Vardzia is recognized as one of Georgia's most important cultural and historical landmarks. Archaeologists and conservators have worked to preserve its frescoes, stabilize its caves, and reconstruct pathways for visitors. The Church of the Dormition, with its breathtaking frescoes of Christ Pantocrator, the Virgin Mary, and scenes from the New Testament, has been carefully restored. These paintings are not only masterpieces of medieval art, but also vital sources for understanding Georgia's spiritual and political identity during its golden age. In the 21st century, Vardzia is more than just a ruin. It is a living monument. Monks have returned to the complex, reviving its spiritual role. Visitors from around the world come to marvel at the ingenuity of its architecture and the beauty of its setting. The site has also become a symbol of Georgian national pride, connecting modern Georgia to its medieval heritage. Efforts have been made to include Vardzia on the UNESCO World Heritage List, highlighting its universal significance as a masterpiece of rock-cut architecture and religious devotion. Tourism plays a key role in the region's economy, with guided tours allowing visitors to walk through the caves, climb the stairways, and stand in awe before the frescoes that once inspired generations of believers. The story of Vardzia is not only about architecture or history, it is about resilience. Built during Georgia's golden age, shaken by earthquakes, invaded by foreign powers, abandoned and finally rediscovered, Vardzia reflects the endurance of a culture and a people. It is also a reminder of the extraordinary achievements of Queen Tamar, whose legacy continues to inspire Georgians to this day. Her association with Vardzia ensures that the cave city is not only a historical site, but also a cultural and spiritual icon. As we stand before the cliffs of the Erusheti Mountain, looking at the countless caves carved into the stone, we are reminded of the incredible vision that created Vardzia. It was a city, a fortress, a monastery, and a sanctuary, all in one. From the devotion of its monks to the grandeur of its frescoes, from the legends of Queen Tamar to the resilience of its people, Vardzia tells the story of a nation that has always sought to preserve its identity, faith, and culture against the challenges of history. Today, as visitors walk through its tunnels and gaze upon its sacred art, Vardzia continues to speak, not just to Georgians, but to all who seek to understand the deep connection between history, faith, and human creativity. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you soon.